The coffee was still warm when I found her phone in the mailbox. Yeah, her phone, shoved deep inside a crumpled grocery bag, like someone wanted it hidden, like someone didn't want me seeing anything. And the worst part? I wasn't even looking for it. I was just grabbing the mail, bills, junk, some coupon booklet we'd never use, and there it was. That sick, cold drop in my stomach hit immediately, because hours earlier, she'd said, "Relax. It's just a party, not a drug deal." And I believed her. I let her walk out in heels she hadn't worn since our engagement dinner. She didn't kiss me goodbye. She didn't even look back. She just laughed when I said, "Something feels off about this Bryce guy," and waved me off like I was some clingy, insecure child. So I ignored her. All evening. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't check the tracker we'd installed during her paranoid phase last year. I wanted her to notice the silence. I wanted her to feel that gut ache of being dismissed. Instead, I was the one who couldn't sleep. By 1:30 a.m., I was pacing. By 2:15, I was staring out the window like a war wife waiting for news. At 3:03 a.m., I texted, "Hey, are you okay?" No response. At 3:17 a.m., I heard a car in the distance. Not hers. A rideshare. The engine idled outside for too long. When I peeked through the blinds, I saw a figure stumble out. Definitely her. She was barefoot, carrying her shoes, holding her clutch like it was filled with regret. And behind her, someone leaned forward from the back seat, said something I couldn't hear. And she laughed, like the night had been fun. I backed away from the window. I didn't want her to know I saw. I went straight to the front door, unlocked it. Then I opened the mailbox and found the phone. That was when my world shifted. Because people don't just leave their phones outside. Not unless they're hiding something. Not unless they're trying to erase a night before it's even over. And what I found on that phone, once I got it to power on, started unraveling everything. I wasn't even planning to turn it on at first. I just stood there in the hallway holding her phone like it was radioactive, like the thing might explode and take what was left of my sanity with it. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it twice. I kept telling myself, maybe she just lost it. Maybe she tossed it in the mailbox by accident. But come on. Nobody accidentally slips their phone into a mailbox at 2 in the morning while barefoot and laughing with someone still sitting in the back seat of a rideshare. I pressed the power button anyway. It vibrated to life. Once, then twice, and the screen lit up. That familiar home screen photo of us at a pumpkin patch flashed for half a second, and I swear it felt like the phone was mocking me. Like it was whispering, "Look how happy you used to be." But as soon as the screen loaded, it wasn't her home screen that hit me. It was the notifications. There were dozens. Dozens. All from a muted conversation labeled with a single emoji, a yellow lightning bolt. No name. No initials. Just high voltage, like secrecy disguised as something playful. I opened the thread, and the messages hit me so hard I had to sit down right there on the floor like some defeated sitcom husband who'd just been told his dreams weren't real. The earliest message was from 9:42 p.m. You look unreal tonight. Then another. "Janelle, don't pretend you didn't notice me staring." And then hers. My wife's words. "Stop, people will hear you LOL. 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 My chest tightened. I felt like I'd swallowed a brick. More messages popped in as I scrolled. Voice notes. Blurry party photos. A video thumbnail. Only 1 second long, but showing her dress from a low angle. Someone else was holding the camera. Not her. Then a message timestamped at 2:11 a.m. Just before she stumbled out of that car. "Keep your phone hidden. You don't need any trouble tonight." What trouble? What did that even mean? And who the hell was high voltage? Just as I reached the latest message, the door opened. I froze. The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the hardwood floor. I scrambled to grab it, but she was already there, standing in the doorway. Mascara smudged, hair messy, dress wrinkled like she'd slept in it or done something worse. She didn't say hi, didn't smile, didn't ask why I was up. Her eyes locked on the phone in my hand. And the look on her face? It wasn't guilt. It was fear. Real, bone-deep fear. Like she'd been caught in something much bigger than a stupid party. Like she hadn't expected me to find the phone at all. "Why do you have that?" she whispered, voice shaky, like she was trying to sound calm, but her lungs were giving up on her. I should have yelled. I should have demanded answers. But instead, in the most pathetic, whiny voice imaginable, I muttered, You left it in the mailbox." I didn't know what else to do. She closed her eyes like my words physically hurt her. Then she said something that made every hair on my arm stand up. You weren't supposed to see anything. Not, it's not what you think. Not, I can explain. Not even give it back. Just that. Like the truth wasn't just damaging, it was dangerous. And that was when I realized. This wasn't just betrayal. Something else was happening behind my back. Something that went way beyond a flirtatious message or a party kiss. Something she was genuinely terrified of. And I had just stepped directly into the middle of it. She stood there frozen in the doorway, hair still stuck to one side of her face like she'd just rushed home through a nightmare. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My throat felt tight, like trying to breathe through cotton. I didn't know if I was about to scream, cry, or throw up. Maybe all three. She slowly stepped forward, eyes darting between me and the phone like it was ticking, like it might explode if I tapped the wrong thing. And all I could do was whisper, "What weren't you going to tell me?" Her response? She didn't deny anything. She didn't act surprised or offended or insulted like people do when they get falsely accused. No, she just sat down across from me and whispered back, "There's one message. Just one. Don't open it. Please." Her voice cracked on that last word. Please. Like something out of a horror movie. Like she wasn't protecting herself. She was protecting me. And that made it worse. Much worse. I looked down at the phone again. The battery icon was red and flashing. Maybe 5% left. My thumb hovered over the screen as I asked, "Which message?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out, slowly, almost reverently, as if she thought she could just take it back without a fight. Like she still believed I'd just hand it over because I loved her or trusted her or didn't want to know. But I didn't hand it over. I turned the screen toward me and kept scrolling. Her face went pale. There were over 100 messages, some buried in threads within threads, voice notes, image replies, heart reacts, inside jokes that made no sense to anyone outside their bubble. And then I saw one pinned at the top of the thread, time-stamped from earlier that night. It was locked. An iMessage locked with a password. One of those encrypted audio files she had to intentionally secure. "What is this?" I asked, but she just shook her head and whispered, "It's not mine. It was sent to me. I never opened it. I was too scared." Scared of what? I entered her usual password. It didn't work. Tried her old one. Nothing. Then I tried the dumbest one I could think of, Bryce 1987. Click. It opened. I pressed play. Static. At first, just static. A low hum, like someone breathing too close to a cheap microphone. Then came voices. 2 of them. One male, one hers. And I swear to you, I've never felt such a cold panic in my life. Because she wasn't whispering sweet things. She wasn't flirting or laughing or even talking about me. No, she was arguing. Desperately. Pleading with someone. Saying things like, "You said it was just drinks, and you promised there wouldn't be cameras. And finally, if my husband finds out." That was where the clip ended. The silence that followed was louder than anything. She looked like she was about to faint. Her lips trembled. Her knees pulled to her chest. For the first time in our entire marriage, Janelle didn't look smug or stubborn or defiant. She looked hunted. I asked one question as calmly as I could manage. "What cameras?" And her answer? She didn't even speak. She just slowly reached into her purse and pulled out a flash drive. A tiny, silver, fingerprint-smeared flash drive. And she said, "Because this is the real problem. And I think they're watching me." I wanted to laugh. I really did. It sounded insane. But the way she said it, the way her hands trembled, that wasn't guilt. That was fear. And I was starting to believe she wasn't just hiding some guy she kissed at a party. She might have been hiding something a lot worse. I didn't want to touch it at first. That little silver flash drive sat in her shaking hands like it was holding radiation, not data. I stared at it, then at her, then back at it again, and every instinct in my body screamed that plugging it into anything, my laptop, hers, even a public library computer, was going to drag me into something I wasn't prepared for. But she kept whispering, "Please, please, just look. I can't carry this alone anymore." And the pathetic part? I still didn't know whether she meant guilt or fear. So I got my old work laptop, the one with no personal files, nothing saved, nothing that could ruin me if the whole thing caught fire, and set it on the kitchen table. My hands were sweating so badly the mouse pad barely registered my movements. When I finally slid the flash drive into the port, Janelle actually flinched. Not like she was scared of what I'd see. More like she was scared that clicking one wrong thing might summon someone to our front door. The drive loaded. It had only one folder, labeled in all caps, "Don't play in public." My stomach dropped. I opened it anyway. Inside were 3 files. A video labeled Front Room Angle 2. Another video labeled Hallway. A document titled Contract, Draft. I opened the hallway video first. And I swear, my whole body went cold within 3 seconds. It wasn't footage of our home. It wasn't even footage of her office or some random event space. It was a party, a crowded, loud apartment full of strangers dancing under string lights, with music vibrating the camera. You couldn't see faces clearly, just silhouettes and movement, until the camera shifted and focused on one person. Her, Janelle, in that burgundy dress, standing way too close to a guy whose face I still couldn't see, because it stayed just outside the frame like he knew exactly where the camera was. The angle wasn't flattering or accidental. It was deliberately placed, aimed right at the two of them, like someone had staged it. Then the video ended abruptly. No sound, no context, just that image burned into my mind. I clicked the second video, the Front Room Angle 2, and this one was even more disturbing. It showed the same room, but from a higher vantage point. Again, Janelle and the mystery guy. Again, cropped just right so you couldn't identify him, but you could absolutely identify her. At one point, she looked up directly toward the camera, like she sensed she was being recorded, but instead of stepping back, she leaned in closer to the guy, almost like she'd been instructed to. When the second video ended, I finally looked at her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't denying anything. She was shaking like she was about to pass out. "I didn't know about the cameras," she whispered. "I didn't know they recorded everyone. I thought it was just a party." I wanted to scream that this didn't look like some innocent misunderstanding. I wanted to demand who the guy was. I wanted to explode with every insecure part of me that had been screaming since last night. But I couldn't, because the fear in her voice didn't sound like someone scared of being caught cheating. It sounded like someone scared of being trapped. Then I opened the third file. A contract draft. A literal contract. Terms. Conditions. A non-disclosure clause. Fees. Penalties. Something about exclusive access rights and participant involvement. And at the bottom, there were 2 signature spaces, one for the organizer, already signed with some curved, unrecognizable scribble, and the second for her, not signed yet, but the date next to the signature line, tonight, meaning she was supposed to sign something involving these recordings before the day ended. I stared at the screen in disbelief. This wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't just a flirtatious night gone wrong. Someone had put my wife in a position where her image, her identity, was leverage. "Who made you do this?" I managed to choke out, sounding every bit the whiny, broken husband I was. She wrapped her arms around herself like she was freezing. "I didn't do anything with him," she said. "I swear. But they want me to sign something so they can use the footage." I told them no. That's why I tried to hide my phone. They kept calling. Calling. Calling for what? To pressure her? Threaten her? Trap her? And then she said the part that truly rattled me. "I think they'll come back tonight. They said they would if I didn't respond." So there I sat, holding a flash drive full of stage footage, a half-written contract meant to force her into something, and a wife who had clearly gotten herself tangled in something frighteningly calculated. And as pathetic as it sounds, I still didn't know if the fear in her eyes was for her reputation, or for the truth she wasn't telling me yet. I don't know what scared me more, the fact that someone was watching us, or that they already knew I was involved. It happened the next morning. I hadn't slept. Neither had she. We'd just sat there, me staring at that flash drive like it might catch fire, her hugging her knees in total silence. I was still trying to process what I'd seen, trying to understand if this was some blackmail scheme, a messed up prank, or something much worse. Then, around 7:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. One notification. Unknown number. "We see you got the drive." I swear my hands went ice cold. I didn't respond right away. I just showed her the message. She didn't say anything, just started crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet. Hopeless tears like she already knew this was coming. That message wasn't meant to threaten. It was meant to let me know they were a step ahead. Whoever they were, they knew I'd seen it all. A few minutes later, another text came in. "This doesn't need to go further. Just keep her quiet. Tell her to sign." It felt like I'd been punched in the chest. "Sign what?" I texted back, my hands shaking. What's the contract for? Their response came instantly. Ownership. Simple. Nothing personal. She knew the rules. Nothing personal? What kind of twisted people call this not personal? Janelle looked like she was about to faint when I told her. She finally admitted the truth, at least most of it. The party wasn't a regular party. It was hosted by some exclusive underground group her coworker was part of. Everyone signs waivers. Everyone drinks. Cameras are everywhere, and the footage is turned into premium entertainment for some high-paying subscribers. She swore she didn't know until after, when she started getting calls. She hadn't even told me because she thought ignoring them would make it go away. Now they were messaging me. I kept asking her over and over again, "Did you do anything? Did you touch him? Did anything happen that can't be undone?" She kept saying no, but her answers got quieter each time. I couldn't tell if it was guilt, fear, or both. Then came the last message of the morning. "You have until midnight." Midnight. I didn't know what would happen if she didn't sign, but something told me they weren't bluffing. And for the first time, I wasn't just angry at her. I was terrified for both of us. I'd like to say I was brave that night, that I had a plan, some clever counter move, or at least the guts to face whatever was coming. But the truth? I spent most of the day pacing in circles, replaying those messages over and over in my head, checking the locks on our doors like that would stop whoever these people were. Janelle tried to keep busy, organizing drawers she never cared about before, repacking luggage that hadn't been used in years. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Every time I asked her if there was anything else I didn't know, she just said the same line. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Like that made any of it better. I went online, searched everything I could, hidden party recordings, secret contracts, underground networks, but all I found were vague stories and threads that led nowhere. Everything was scrubbed clean or buried under nonsense. Whoever they were, they didn't leave a digital trail. And then the sun went down. By 11:30 p.m., our house was completely dark. Lights off, curtains drawn. Janelle sat on the edge of the couch, shaking with her hands in her lap, and I sat across from her gripping a baseball bat, like that would make me any less useless. No police, no lawyers, just a broken man trying to protect a marriage already halfway gone. And at 11:48, they came. No knocking, no yelling, just a quiet, deliberate car pulling into the driveway, sleek, black, windows tinted darker than legal. Two men stepped out, both wearing suits. Not flashy, not cheap, just cold, professional, like they were there for business, not violence. One of them approached the door while the other stayed by the car. He didn't ring the bell. He didn't even look at the camera. He just slid something through the mail slot, a thin envelope, and then turned around like it was nothing. No drama, no warning. And just like that, they got back in the car and left. I waited a full minute before I moved. My heart was pounding so hard I felt dizzy. When I finally picked up the envelope, my hands were already sweating through the paper. I opened it and saw only one thing. The contract. But this time it was signed. By her. Dated. Time-stamped. I looked up at her, and she couldn't even meet my eyes. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I didn't send it. I never signed anything." But it was her signature. I'd seen her sign enough birthday cards to know. Someone had forged it. Or worse, recorded her doing it when she didn't realize. That wasn't the scariest part, though. At the bottom of the document, just beneath her fake signature, was a note typed in red. "Thank you. She belongs to us now." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I looked at my wife, and I swear to you, I didn't recognize her anymore. Something was happening behind the scenes that I couldn't stop, couldn't understand, and whatever it was, they believed she was already part of it. Whether she liked it or not. I don't know what I expected when I started gathering evidence. A scandal? Headlines? Justice? Maybe just a few people online telling me I wasn't crazy. But whatever hope I had left that someone out there would help us, it died the moment I tried to go public. And they knew it. Every move I made after that played directly into their hands. The morning after they delivered the forged contract, I made copies of everything, screenshots, saved files, printed pages from the flash drive. I even recorded a voice memo of Janelle describing what she remembered from the party. I didn't trust keeping it all in one place, so I spread the files out, cloud storage, burner USBs, one copy on an old phone I hid in the attic. I was paranoid, yeah, but also desperate. This wasn't just a betrayal story anymore. It felt like we were trapped in something designed to swallow us whole. Then I made the worst mistake of all. I posted on a private forum. Not Reddit. Not Facebook. Somewhere darker. Somewhere people claim to know about content rings and private distributors. I didn't use names. I didn't share the videos. Just descriptions. Enough to raise alarms. Or so I thought. Within 30 minutes of posting, my internet cut out. Completely. Not just a router reset. The connection itself was dead, like someone had pulled a switch upstream. Janelle's phone lost signal too. Even our Wi-Fi thermostat flashed offline. I got up to check the breaker, thinking maybe this was just a power issue. That's when I heard it. A knock. Not on the front door this time. On the back window. I froze. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. The knock came again, softer this time. Like whoever was out there wasn't trying to get in. They just wanted me to know they could. I peeked through the side curtain. No one. But when I opened the back door, there was a single object on the doormat. The flash drive. The same one I thought I had locked away in the garage freezer. I snatched it up and opened it inside, heart pounding. Everything had been wiped. No video. No contract. Just a single new file, an image. It was a photo of me. From behind. Sitting at my desk. Taken from inside my own house. I felt like the floor dropped out beneath me. I yelled for Janelle, but she was already upstairs, curled into the closet, knees tucked under her chin, shaking. She hadn't even heard the knock. I told her what happened, showed her the photo. She just stared at it and whispered. They said they had eyes in every house. I thought it was just a scare tactic. That's when it hit me. They wanted me to panic. They wanted me to go public, to post, to rant and scream online. Because every move I made gave them more control, more leverage. They didn't care about exposure. They owned exposure. That was their business. It wasn't about hiding the footage. It was about owning the reaction. I didn't sleep again that night. I sat by the front door with a metal bat and the old phone clutched in my hand. I wanted to run. I wanted to burn everything and disappear. But something stopped me. The old phone, my attic backup, started buzzing at 3:02 a.m. Even though it had no SIM card. No number. Just one alert. Incoming airdrop. Look out your window. And when I did, what I saw was her. But not my wife. It was her in another car. In another dress. With another man. And she wasn't afraid. She was smiling. There she was. Clear as daylight. Sitting in the passenger seat of a dark sedan parked across the street. Wearing a white dress I'd never seen before. Laughing. Her head thrown back. Her hand on someone else's shoulder. No fear. No tension. Just ease. Like nothing had ever happened. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. I stood there at the window staring at her through the blinds while the car pulled away. Slow. Casual. Like it had all been rehearsed. And the most pathetic part? A part of me still hoped it was a misunderstanding. Still hoped maybe she'd come back inside and tell me it was all some elaborate ploy, that she was trying to protect me. But she didn't come back. She didn't even glance at the house. That was the moment I realized something had snapped. Not just in her, but in me. This wasn't about blackmail anymore. It wasn't about fear or contracts or footage or whatever disgusting network she'd fallen into. It was about control. And I'd finally had enough. I didn't scream. I didn't rage. I didn't burn the house down. Instead, I sat down at my desk, opened the old phone, and pulled up my backups. I had everything. The screenshots. The audio. Her voice. The partial contract. Even metadata from the photo they'd sent me. But I didn't send it to the police. I sent it to their competition. See, in all my searching, I found something they missed, another group. Not cleaner. Not more ethical. Just hungrier. A rival network that had been trying to expose the party ring for months, not out of justice, but to take them down and replace them. It wasn't moral, but it was useful. I sent everything. Anonymously. Layered through 6 proxies and a VPN in another country. I let the monsters fight each other. And within a week, silence. No more knocks. No more messages. No more airdrops. And no more Janelle. She never came back. I expected some dramatic reappearance. A meltdown. A confrontation. But instead, she vanished. Like she knew her safety depended on staying far, far away from me, and the mess she helped create. I filed for divorce the next month. Quietly. No drama. I didn't even tell my friends. I just needed out. Out of the house. Out of the memories. Out of the shame. That was a year ago. Now, I run a quiet coffee shop in a small coastal town. I know it's cliché. The betrayed guy escapes to peace and slow mornings. But it's real. And I'm not alone. I met someone. She's kind, private, doesn't post every second of her life online. And she listens, really listens, when I talk. Even if I'm still a little broken, still a little paranoid, still a little too watchful when someone gets too close. Sometimes she asks about my past. And all I say is, there was a time I thought I'd lost everything. Then I smile and add, turns out, I was just being freed. I don't know where Janelle is now. I don't want to know. But I do know this. They thought they were playing a game with me. But I was the one who walked away with the final move.